Bingo!
Greetings. So now we are going to present our midterm project in client-side scripting ITEW2. We are two ITA composed of members, namely Almodovar Noah Cyrel, Bariri Paul Gabriel, Dolor Charlie, Humarang Leo Rodri, Rabino Noela Jane, and Miss Roman Patricia May. And this is our midterm project, bingo game using JavaScript. First, we are going to run the program, Miss Noela Jane Rabino.
So I'm Noela Jane Rabino, and this is a web application that will allow a user to generate bingo cards and play the game. So first, let me discuss the codes we created for the index.html that enable us to create a structure of a web page and its content. Here, we are following the DOM structure. Our title is Midterm Project. So inside the body, here we implemented the div. First is the div for the header. In our program, it is in the upper part and a text which is let's play bingo card. So each div has its own unique ID which will be called in CSS and JavaScript. This is also to help the program understand which one is to be called an applied design or function. Next is the div for the start of the web page. After that, we also implemented a div for the second page that asks for how many cards to create. Next is the div for the div controls. This is where the random ball number, ball drawn history, winning pattern, and bingo cards can be seen. Each part of this page has its own div ID and it has different functionalities and designs applied. Last is applying div for the table div. This is where the table will be created. Next is for the external scripts to be called. So each ID and tags that we use here in the index.html will be called in style.css. If we are going to compare it to Java Swing that uses GUI, the CSS is the specifications and responsible for implementing the designs such as color, size, position, animations, and everything that is responsible for the style or layout of your program. In CSS, in order for you to apply its designs, you can call its ID or tags in it. So that is all about the index.html and style.css. Thank you.
So we have here a class named bingo card with the private property matrix, which is a 2D array with 5 rows. Then we have an empty constructor that can be called anytime even if it is empty. We have a public method named generateMatrix for generating the matrix. In line 27, we call the property matrix followed by the property random number. We use number 1 to 15 for column B, 16 to 30 for column I, 31 to 45 for column N, 46 to 60 for column G, and 61 to 75 for column O. To check if numbers are duplicated, we call the three private methods, which are the generate new matrix, replace duplicate, and get each letter column 0, then 115, then 0. We did the same method for the other columns as well. For the generate new matrix method, it has two parameters, array and column. In let new matrix, it means that all of the changes that has been made in new matrix will also be changed in the main matrix. In line 69, we will loop the length of the matrix. Then in line 70, the row index will increase from 0, 1, 2, 3, etc. to every column.
For the second private method, named replace duplicate, which accepts three parameters, the array, the minimum value, and the maximum value. The goal of this method is to replicate values in the matrix so that the card is perfectly unique. The numbers of the card is perfectly unique, and there will be no and there will be a fair game for every players. Next is the get each letter column method, which is also a private and accepts uh, an index number of the column. This method is for the the columns to be returned. This method returns an array in the column. And draw card method, which is a public method, and it has no parameters. Then first we create a table element, which is named table. Then next is we call the table div object and get the element ID by get its element table div. Then we do it here is we make a template which contains HTML codes and its values inside each tags so that we can generate cards per user that he or she decide. Then next, we created the element here. Then we change its inner HTML property to the template we created earlier. Then change its display style to inline block so that each card is aligned horizontally, and if the card is full to its horizontal size of the screen, it will go under its cards above. Then change its background color style to brown. Then the style of border radius to 10 pixels, which means that it will curve 10 pixels on the corners, then vertical align so that it is aligned to the middle of the div. Then the table div, which is the container of the cards, will be the parent, and the child is the table we created.
For balldraw.js. As, as per the instruction stated, we need a private property array where we will store the number that had been drawn and a default empty constructor. Then, a public method drawBall using the math.floor, math.random formula, and we multiply it to this formula. This will enable them to draw a random number in the range of 1 to 75. After that is the return drawn, which will return a number that had been drawn in this method. Next, here in the mark card method, it will return a style to mark the card that has the number that showed up. And lastly, we have a getter method to get the history of all the number that had been drawn, and a setter method to modify the history of the drawn ball.
Next is for the script.js. First, we get the objects from the index HTML that we needed for the execution of the program. Next, we created an object from balldraw class. Next, we have the function start playing, which goal is to display the startup menu. And then we have the user start. Div start is going to be hidden, and we're going to show table div, which is the container of the cards. We also have div, the div to create card. If this is not black, we're not going to display start. We have display start, else display none. Next is the function create card. If there is no value being input or being placed on txt uty, there is an alert that says that not a valid quantity. And then clear the value of txt uty and then terminate the function and return. Next, if the condition above or the argument above is false, we're going to proceed to the loop in order to create bingo cards until the quantity is met. Next, in here, we determine how many cards are to be created. For every rotation of code, new object bingo card goes into the array new bingo card and then generate matrix and then draw card. Next, div create card display equals none. We also have div controls display, and then we have the empty value of txt uty. Next is the function drawBall, which draws a ball according to its name itself. We have here the letDraw, which calls an object ball draw, and the method drawBall. Next is to check if a duplicate ball number will be drawn. There may be times in the program that it will happen that there will be a duplicate number that will be drawn, which is different from real life situation because there is only one kind of ball or number, certain number are being drawn. Next, if there is a duplicate in the history in the array ball drawn in the ball draw class, then new ball is drawn. It will continue until there is no duplicate ball drawn. Next, we have the ball draw object, then ball drawns array, push, which adds to the end, and then draw. Next, display the drawn ball and to its corresponding letter column. For example, we have here the B, column B, and then the value to be placed inside the inner HTML of pdrawn. Same rules apply to the other letters or the other columns, as it is also discussed earlier by Ms. Rinoa Cyril Almodovar, the range of numbers in each column. Next is the loop. We have here table div.childNodes.length. In this line of code, we return the number of child nodes appended from bingocard.js. It is on how many card is desired by the user. We call every child node's position, index, and rows. And then we get each rows. We have here the let row. Let row equals table div.childNode and then index and then rows I. So we get the first row of the first card. The next for loop, in here, it calls or get the cells of every row. We have here the variable cell, which get the first cell of the first row, and the variable val or the value gets the value of the inner text. Next is another condition. If parenthesis plus val, parenthesis, inner text, value of cell, it will turn into a number. That's why there is a plus sign or plus symbol, and then equals draw. It is in order to check if the value of the cell and the drawn ball is the same or identical. If it is true, it will change the style of the return value of the mark card, and then we will put the style of cell that have the same value. If every row is checked of every card, It will put the number drawn into paragraph that displays the history of number.
Function check winner. This function determines if the user won. We declare let count equals 0 to check the shaded cells of the bingo cards. And let is winner equals false, a boolean variable to determine if the user won. We also use for loops for the length of table div that child nodes, and below is the conditions for the winning pattern. So the bingo cards has a 5 by 5 matrix which is the 5 rows and 5 columns. And the winning pattern is straight line in the third row. It means to win the game, your card must shade a straight line from third row. For this condition, we use if statement to check if the third row first cell, third row second cell, third row third cell, third row fourth cell, and third row fifth cell, if it is equal to the background color blue, then the count variable will append. Here in if count equals to 5, this will check if the cards has 5 shades in the third row. And if so, the boolean variable is winner will change its value to true and the count will set to 0. If the boolean is winner change its value to true, it means the user met the requirements for winning the game. After that, a prompt will display and ask for the user's name and the winning card. Then alert, congratulations, and the name that the user entered, then the number of the card for winning this game. Then clear all to terminate the function. Now here in alert, looks like we need to wait for our numbers to be drawn. Good luck. It means the requirements hasn't met yet and the boolean is winner is still equals to false. Function clear all. This function clears all the cards and all of the balls that had been drawn and displayed in the ball drawn history. To clear the cards, we use while loop, while table div that first child. It means if the table div is still has a first child, it will remove the last child to clear the table or the cards. Then ball draw that ball drawns equals empty array to clear the array of the balls that have been drawn. And p drawn list to clear the ball drawn history, and for their default value. Then this for hiding the divs except for the div start. Alert done. And lastly, this alert operation cancelled. Above we declared let clear equals confirm function. This function is boolean and it accepts true or false. If the user clicks yes, then the program will do all of this. And if the user clicks no, then an alert will display with operation cancel.
So again, let's try to run our web application bingo. So let's restart the game. So click start. Then let us generate 3 cards. Note that our winning pattern is forming horizontal line in third row. So let us click the draw button and wait for our cards to form a horizontal line in third row. So as you can see, card number 2 formed the winning pattern, and it is now time to click the bingo button. So enter your name, then card number 2, and here it will give you a message saying congratulations Charlie with card number 2 for winning this game. So you can now clear it and restart the game if you want to play again. So once again, this is our web application bingo, and thank you for listening.
Again, this has been Mr. Leo Rodri Alhumarang together with my groupmates, Ms. Almodovar Noah Cyril, Mr. Bariring Paul Gabriel, Mr. Dolor Charlie B, Ms. Rabino Noela Jane, Ms. Roman Patricia May, and this is our midterm project, which is a bingo game using JavaScript. Thank you so much for listening and I hope you have a good day. Thank you.